Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc, and streaming live, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. We got a jam-packed show. We got a jam-packed house. We've got Bevin from the Adultish web series and Den of Geek Lore. She is joining us in studio. She's sitting next to, as always, my co-host, Mr. Hassan Godwin, who is the Lord of the Radio.
Thank you.
We did that in
that was well done.
That was beautiful, guys.
But we ruined it by talking about how cool it was.
No, we didn't.
No, it's supposed to be spontaneous. So just come out spontaneously.
Only enhanced it. Want to wish a warm, happy Valentine's Day to all you folks out there who are spending your Valentine's watching us, which is pretty awesome if you are. And I want to give a big
for us, but it's kind of sad for you.
Tell us how you really feel.
I have no soul. I'm sorry.
Tell us how you
Was I supposed to
really
be?
feel on
Was
that.
I supposed to be gracious about that? I'm sorry.
Nope.
Hey.
All right, excellent.
Well, I also want to give.
Because I wasn't.
I also want to give a warm and kind happy birthday to my beloved 2-year-old son, whose birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday.
And my wife, whose
Baby
birthday
Dolce.
is today.
Really?
And
Happy birthday.
yeah, so she.
Ooh, double whammy on you.
Yeah, and they're both homesick. So that's that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm here.
So you could avoid
So you
being
don't
sick.
get sick?
Yeah.
Yes. That's
Because wherever sick people are, you'll find me elsewhere.
Yeah, no, and I'm surprisingly healthy.
Today would have been my mother's 71st birthday.
Oh, get out of here!
Yeah.
A lot of Valentine's birthdays.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of hanky panky going on.
Whoa.
Well, 9 months ago.
9 months ago.
May was a busy month.
May is a
Good
things happening.
Because in April it's still kind of like cold out.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
May.
But
it heats up,
there you
baby. Oh yeah.
All right, that's kind of that's weird.
You guys.
Now we're talking about my grandparents. So let's not.
We can't rebound from that. Actually.
Yeah, no.
We got a lot to talk about.
We got to move on. Yeah.
All right. So moving on. But before we do, I want to give a shout out to one of our key patrons, Einar Peterson. He's got he's at the Einarchist, EINARKIST. He's got some very special Reckoning comic book accessories coming your way for inspection if the production goes well. So he's making a graphic novel, and he's on Patreon. He's also doing some stuff with some accessories to his sci-fi comic book story. So we want to give a shout out to him.
Shout out.
He is very loyal, along with our other patrons as well too. We're gonna be doing some stuff with the Patreon page. Give it some time. Trust me, everything I say I'm gonna do, I eventually do it.
Eventually.
My wife can attest to that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Not right away.
But
and usually don't do it well. But eventually you do get it done.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I
can cross it off the to-do list.
Yes.
At some point.
Well, that's all that matters.
We got a couple things going on. Nothing big. We've got Wizard World just announced a big merger with Sony Pictures.
Wow.
And we've got the head of PR, Jerry Milani. Good guy. He actually hooked us up with all those great interviews we got last year with Biff from Back to the Future, with Lou Ferrigno. So I mean, there was with Xander from Buffy, Nicholas Brendan. So we're big fans of Jerry, and we're going to give him some time. We're going to grill him though, because we got a lot of people are wondering what that deal means for comic book creators, means for Sony, means for
Disney merger.
All the stuff. And we're going to talk about that in segment 3. Segment 2, we're going to talk about Zack Snyder and Justice League, but we're going to start with this little quiet movie that's somehow making, I guess it's making a little bit of
No idea what you're talking about right now.
Black Panther on track to break Marvel records with projected 165 million opening weekend, according to the Hollywood Reporter. Projections for the superhero film keep being revised upward by major tracking services. The forecast keeps getting better and better for Disney and Marvel Studios' Black Panther, which opens Friday. Hollywood's leading tracker service revised its opening weekend estimate to 165 million or more for the 4-day President's Day weekend, which, if it holds, would be the top February launch of all time, knocking Deadpool off that list.
We'll see. Good.
So we were
good tracking though.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Good trending.
Trending tracking.
Yeah. It's
I think overall, no matter what, right? We definitely agree that this is good for comic book movies. It's good for everything like that. But Bevin, you had
Yes.
a point that I refuse to let you talk about.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
It's like, don't talk about it yet.
while we were
Not
at the
until we're
restaurant.
live.
That's
Yeah.
I'm Regis Philbin, man. That's it.
That's
Regis
why we
Philbin.
didn't talk to each other at all at the restaurant.
It was a
We
very
just
quiet.
stared at each
I
It
other.
was
know,
a very
right?
quiet dinner. We're like, so.
Yeah. How's your salad?
You can't talk about that yet either. Yes.
You were talking about this, and this is exactly where my line of thinking came as well too.
Get to it.
Wonder Woman. Show's over. I will.
That was the deal breaker.
That's it.
It took me a year, but I got him to do it. We're out. We're done.
No. So we were thinking along the same lines a little bit, right? My line of thinking was: is this projection? Is this like hysteria over Black Panther a result of our socio-political climate today? And you brought up Wonder Woman movie, which I thought was actually a very good analogy, comparison to what's kind of going on. So, by all means, ask your question.
I mean, the question I posed was, do you think Black Panther will not suffer a similar fate, but have the similar fate as Wonder Woman, where because it was so revolutionary of Wonder Woman, first female superhero film to be directed by to make money, to be directed by a woman. So I'm sorry, you just tracked. Let's rephrase this. So will Black Panther be similar to Wonder Woman in the fact that because it is so revolutionary in the fact it stars a female and it's directed by a female, will critics kind of go easy on it?
Yeah. And so far, I mean, the critical reception to Black Panther has been nothing short of amazing. 97% Rotten Tomatoes. Now, this is from people who've seen it, not the
public. It was 100%, and one guy gave it a so-so review, and
like
then the internet tried to kill him.
Yeah, it was like that one guy.
They tried to find him and kill him.
Right.
Which is very similar to the path that Wonder Woman had in the sense that it was rated really high. And if anybody said anything negative about it, you saw the internet.
You were anti-women. You were sexist. You were anti-women.
Sexist. You were anti.
Just like if you don't like Black Panther, you'll be racist.
You're
so
racist
we're done.
If you don't, right?
So there's your answer.
It is there. Okay. All right. So
don't be racist. Go see it and like it.
All right. Show's over.
Okay.
We're out of here.
We're good.
Ooh, we get to.
It's been great.
Going home early today.
Yeah, it's been great.
I
guys.
posed the question first to Hassan.
Oh.
What his feelings on Black Panther are?
No, if it'll be similar to Wonder Woman in that fact.
I don't know. I know some people whose opinions about movies I really respect, and they all say it's good. So I imagine it's a good movie. There's probably some political pressure to be on the right side of history with it, with the reviews and stuff like that. I think once it comes out and it makes its money, then the reviewers will come out a little more honest about it. They'll feel free to tag it in a couple of ways and point out some of the missteps or the pitfalls that the film takes. But yeah, I guess so. I mean, you can't really say it's not. I don't think that's the sole reason. I think people are legitimately excited for it.
Well, let me preface that by saying it looks super cool. Like it looks really
the other thing
good.
I was going to say is it also looks good, and like I said, I've gotten word that it actually is good. Not Last Jedi good, actually good.
Yeah,
right.
Not controversially good.
Yes, not it's so deep you can't get it. Good.
If you don't like it, you're stupid.
Yeah, right.
You're stupid. You don't get it.
You don't get.
I miss the days when that argument worked, though. That's because you're dumb.
That's before.
Man,
that's
great
that's
times.
Twitter, man. That's that is Twitter's entire argument.
Yeah, that's why I don't hang out on Twitter.
No. Look, we can definitely say it looks really cool. It's getting good. It's getting good reviews. The other thing too, to shoot down the anti-social justice warrior claim. It actually doesn't. It's not a diversity movie. I mean, if you really look at it, right? I mean, you have a token white guy in Martin Freeman.
There's two,
right? Or there's two, right? I mean, you don't really have. I mean, this is an all. I didn't ruin anything. I made it better. No, there's.
No, it could be diversity. They could be from other countries.
Okay. But I'm just again. It's not necessarily like a diversity movie where it's like everyone is plucked from a different you have to have this guy, you have to have that woman, you have to have this, you have to have that. It's an African-centric story. It centers on the fictitious world of Wakanda and all that stuff. So I mean, to shoot all that down, I want to say that out front. I want to put that out there that we don't need to, analyze that. However, I think there's definitely people keep coming up and saying, well, this isn't the first movie to star, a black as the lead character, a black man as the lead character. Everyone keeps referencing or forgetting about Blade in 1999, but it doesn't have the same zeitgeist behind it, right? I mean, am I missing something, or is Hassan is Blade as or should it be as, I don't know, forgotten as it is?
No.
I loved Blade. I thought Blade was great, and
all the way up to that TV show, and then it.
Well, sure, yeah.
Oh, the third one.
And the Ryan Reynolds third one, yes.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Blade 1 and Blade 2 I thought was really great. And it was a trilogy, too. And it was revolutionary back then.
Yeah, that's true.
It was revolutionary back then, but there wasn't, I don't know, there wasn't the social hysteria because there was no social media, there was no 24-hour news cycle.
I know.
There was no hunger for content like there is now.
Yeah.
Because most of this stuff now is a content war.
Yeah.
And it's fueling, it's all going towards our lowest common denominator, but it's mostly an attempt to kind of win out the content game. And that's, easy. It's easy. The social justice warrior problems,
sure.
Or like the Comicsgate thing. Like there's a billion videos about Comicsgate.
Yeah.
That's, and then if you click on any of them, most people don't really even know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's just content. Just like The Last Jedi. When The Last Jedi tanked, or it didn't tank, but when The Last Jedi...
I mean, it made money.
Yeah, when The Last Jedi had its controversial run,
mm-hmm.
there were a billion videos that just popped up that said The Last Jedi sucks, right? And that's strictly for content, just to win out the clickbait wars.
Go back to the social justice warrior aspect to it for a split second, and I don't mean it from what they believe or don't believe or whatever the case is. Let's look at it from the ages in the room, right? So Bevin is clearly the youngest in the room, right? From her generation. We were talking about this. Oh no, yeah, wait. Alpha intern.
Yeah.
Alpha intern.
Alpha
Okay, so he
intern
is actually the youngest here. But actually, it's great, right? We have different generations.
Back behind the curtain.
yeah.
Back, I say.
No, so what's really striking about that, right, is the fact that social media, I would think, is a younger generation tool, right?
Well, it's been weaponized by the younger generation.
Great way to put it, right? So it's been weaponized by the younger generation, and I do remember a day when we were young. Nothing that came before us mattered, right? Everything that came before us was ancient history. Didn't matter. It wasn't everything is so intense when you're younger, right? Everything is live or die. We're on Valentine's Day, right? Every breakup is, oh my God, I'm not going to make it past this, everything is life or death when you're young.
Not really for my crowd, because we were a music crowd, so music crowd, you're always living in the past, kind of. But yeah, for the most part, you're right.
But your emotions for the most part, whether you showed them, on the outside or not, was live or die, right? Everything was, everything was like, this is the worst day that's ever going to happen.
Yes.
The whole world is ending.
I've had a lot of worst days ever.
Right, exactly. And then after a couple of decades, you're kind of like, no, I think I have a frame of reference for this.
I think I'm just going to go to sleep. I think I'm just going to take a nap, and when I wake up, things will be better.
I see what you're building up to, because when Wonder Woman came out, everyone was talking about, like, the emotional high of Wonder Woman was just everywhere. And then, like, you go 5 months into it, and people are like, well...
And then you have all the older generation coming out and being like, okay, no, this wasn't the greatest film that ever existed.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a very... it was impactful. It was very impactful for... the female youth generation to see somebody up there. Just like this is very important for the African-American youth generation to see Black Panther up there.
Is anyone saying that this is the greatest movie ever?
We will answer that question when we come back.
Oh, look at you.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday, 9 to 10 Eastern Time, and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential. Live life your way. on talkradio.nyc.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
You know what else has been building up?
I have no idea what.
Game of Thrones.
Ugliest segue I've ever heard in my life. It was this terrible transition.
Southtown girls won't blow you away, but you know that they'll stay.
Sorry, everyone at home.
The secrets of the sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, and talkradio.nyc. For all the folks who are actually out celebrating Valentine's Day, you suck. You should be in here as a couple watching it and commenting on our feed, where usual commenters are not commenting because I think they're all out either drinking, they're whining and dining their loved ones, or whining and dining themselves for not having a loved one. Either way.
That's dark. Yeah. Hey.
Jinx.
Oh, what's going on over here?
We're bonding over the Wonder Woman and Black Panther movie.
Before
we're gonna have a joint screening. We'll have a joint screening
of Wonder Woman and Black Panther.
Maybe back to back.
You can't write this stuff. Wait a minute. Forget this. I'm just going full screen. I'm just going full screen them.
It's just gonna be called. It's just gonna be called a woke screening. We all woke. Turn the movie on, yo. We woke.
Are we witnessing something going on here?
We spent so much money coming in here. Now we're broke.
Oh no! He went too far.
Now we're rhyming.
Oh god!
Because I don't know. Because Sam and Dolce are hooting. So
I'm squealing. I'm more of a squealing.
That's a
kind of
guy.
We are on Amazon
painful
Alexa. So go check us out on Amazon Alexa devices. Look up Spreaker Podcast Radio Player on Amazon. Enable
Send us
it.
air conditioner.
Alexa opens Spreaker. Alexa opens Secrets of the Sire. We're also on Twitter, Michael_Dolce, Instagram, mdolce64, secretsofthesire.com, and finally iTunes and iHeartRadio. Go leave a review. Go download the show. Subscribe. It really
Everything has
helps
to do with the show has his name on it. So
This is
Why
true.
is
I'm
that?
not represented
Why is that?
whatsoever.
You're on
Because I got here way late.
Yeah, you're on camera now. Look.
Yeah,
And I
me.
paired you up with Bevin. Look at that. I mean, what else? What else you guys? You have no complaints tonight.
No.
None.
It's the highlight of me on the show for this entire time.
All right, so we were talking about Black Panther, and
Were we?
You
we
meant
were.
you
Yeah, you're trying to make it into a racial issue.
an amazing tease. Is Black Panther the greatest movie of all time? And
Yes.
obviously we don't know the answer.
My
to
answer
that.
is yes.
Yes.
It is going to be the greatest movie of all
Why?
time.
But here's the
Because
thing.
there's black people in it. There's lots and lots of black people.
Well, that's not racist at all. Show's over, guys.
There we go.
We're good. No, actually, the cool part about
All of the movies from now on will be inferior to Black Panther.
what we can definitively say, and honestly say, and we honestly said it about Wonder Woman before it came out, because we had Jeff Gomez on, who knew the script problems in the third act, was that the third act fell apart, right? I mean, it wasn't a perfect movie. It was a very entertaining movie. It was cool. It fell apart.
The villain was weak.
You see,
sauce.
no, I don't
Right.
even think that the movie fell apart. I just think it was a very average movie.
Right.
Now, in its averageness, it was a well-done average movie.
Yes.
It didn't break any
Yes.
ground, but it was a solid film.
Sure.
But people argue that it did break ground.
Just because of the protagonist.
It
Protagonist and the
And the
director.
director.
It
Right.
didn't break ground because of the protagonist. It mostly broke ground because of the director.
I agree with that.
I agree with
Because
I agree with that, too.
because there have been, and I cannot as a man I cannot proclaim
I'll come
any
in
of those
for you.
movies. Yes, please. You'll have to endorse this comment. I cannot proclaim any.
Have to.
I know.
You really have to. 'Cause
Comment.
they'll
Well,
be
he
waiting.
has to endorse any Black Panther stuff. I
They'll
can't.
be-
This is very
I don't
true.
know.
I just get the fly off the handle over here.
I'm waffling.
That's the best part.
But I cannot claim that they are feminist movies. But there are previous movies
Right.
with a female protagonist.
Right.
There's plenty of them.
There's hundreds of them.
Yes.
You know. So no, they're varying stages of quality.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them are some of them even from the 70s have odd social messages, right? So and they usually do involve kind of the same trope of the woman wronged in some way, sometimes physically, sometimes
Sure.
sexually, or fighting to save her child or something like that.
Yeah.
So it is very marginalized cinema because it's very tropey. So Wonder Woman being a god is a little different, breaks a little ground in the
Sure.
fact that she was never a disempowered being. From the beginning, who's now coming to take power back. She's pretty much a through line of power through the whole story. So that makes it a little different.
Yeah.
But I also think it also just makes it average, because if she's already perfect, she's physically perfect, she can fight already, and she is mentally also perfect because she doesn't have a personality flaw to her.
Sure.
Then where's the journey for the protagonist for Wonder Woman? In my
Right.
opinion, that's what,
No,
in my
yeah.
opinion, kind of makes her a boring female lead.
I say she kind of avoids becoming a Mary Sue stereotype because she's basically wrong through the entire movie about who
Sure.
she's after.
Sure.
And it's not so much an action adventure story as it really plays hard on the fish out of water kind of characteristic of it, which is what kind of gets it over the finish line. It's got really well played humor. Also, a lot of credit, which it's going to be hard to qualify this, but a lot of credit has to go to Chris Pine for being able to play second fiddle to her.
Sure.
Without looking like a dope,
Right.
because it's been very easy for him to look like to play slapstick and look like the goofy male, and he's very capable. He's just he's not as much as the god that is standing next to him.
Sure.
So it's really well done in that aspect. It's also well done of the story and the director not to try to play that trope. Like in order to make her look strong, they have to make him look weak. So it does break ground in a lot of these other things. It's very sensible.
I
But
think
it
it's
is a very...
I think it's a good, fair assessment of it, right? I mean,
Yeah, but it is a very average story.
Then they had her go into hiding for 100 years because her loved one died.
Yeah, because they didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
From a studio angle,
She
they
might
didn't
have
have a
been doing
plan.
stuff.
I mean, that's...
She might have. I'm sure she did a couple of things,
But that's what they said in Justice League. She's like, I said goodbye. No, she said that in Batman vs. Superman. I said goodbye to the world 100 years ago because my loved one died. And it's like, oh, that
sucked.
That was
female
just...
power. She sat out World War II. But, I mean, here's what I will say about
She's like,
Black
I'm not doing
Panther
that again.
I'm really excited about. From what I understand, unlike Wonder Woman, the entire cast of Black Panther is just very prominent actors. They all have a lot of cred to them. So even the side characters are going to have some meat to them, I feel,
Well, what happens
just
if-
because of the hiring.
What happens if this really does turn out to be the greatest superhero movie of all
It
time?
won't be the greatest, but I mean, it will be. Hopefully, it will be really good. It can't really be the greatest.
No.
I mean, I feel like it'll have somewhat of what Wonder Woman did, which is it'll come out, it'll be probably very, very good.
Yeah.
It's, again, because of the studio behind it, because of the actors behind it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great talent in this film.
Yeah.
So I think it'll do very, very well, and I think a lot of people will just kind of ride that, and then 6 months later, you'll get people that'll start to feel comfortable to say, well,
But that's the thing. I'm actually my
Come out from
goal
hiding.
for this.
Yeah.
Like, this movie really sucked.
My
Yeah,
goal
I
for
mean,
this.
I don't-
No, my goal for this is to walk out of that movie
Black.
and
You wanna
go.
be black.
If I get a tan,
African.
at the very least,
Won't be a tan, man.
Some special effects.
It's gonna
I'll
hit
tell
you.
Right, I'll be like,
It's gonna be a beam. They're raised. They're gonna be raised. They come right out of the movie
I know.
screen. This is our sinister plan. We've been waiting for 100 years to do
We're
this.
all gonna have Jerry Curl like in the '80s.
Oh, see
wow.
what he did?
They're
Everybody
actually-
saw what he did.
There actually was an article.
I have curly hair.
no lie.
Makes sense. You're the racist.
No
You're
lie,
the
guys.
racist.
There's an article about like why everyone in Black Panther wears natural hair. They
Why?
talk about the hair.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's a content war. No, I'm just hoping we all walk
there's
out of
an
there.
article.
I just hope we all walk out.
It's a hair salon. The Wakanda hair salon is dynamite.
All natural hair, guys. Natural products.
Stan Lee's the guy who.
Stan Lee's going to be in there with an afro.
Yeah.
I want to see if Stan Lee is actually in Wakanda.
They're gonna cut
he
him
just
out.
wanders
They're
through
gonna totally
Wakanda.
cut him out.
No, he's gonna have
He's got sexual harassment scandal going on.
Nah, they'll put him in there. He'll be all right.
It's in his contract. He has.
He
to
almost
be there.
died. So, like, you know, that gets him, you know, that gives him a pass. He gets out of the sexual harassment jail
Besides,
free.
Stan Lee gets out of his sexual harassment.
Yes, his heart almost stopped beating.
That I walk out just saying that was a damn good movie. Like that's my hope. Because
that's mine too.
I don't want to come out and sit there and go, well, I want to be out there going like, man, that was just solid.
Yeah, like Red Tails.
Like that was just solid.
Oh,
like that's it. That's all. I just want to think it's solid. Hey, you know, it's funny. We also brought up the Wonder Woman, analogy, and it's a really great one. But it kind of dovetails one of the other things that has now come out.
Segue.
Bad one.
She listens to our show.
I do.
Rumor has it,
too bad.
Zack Snyder may have been forced off of Justice League. This is according to Cinema Blend. Rumor has it.
Apparently, I
Zack
got into
Snyder,
an argument about this with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Whereas he said I suspected he was fired,
yeah,
and I was like, they said it was because of his daughter.
Sure, yeah.
And so I said to my friend, if they fired him and they're using the daughter's suicide as a spin, that's really dark.
That's really messed up.
So this is what the report indicates. It indicated that early on in the making of Justice League, there was some pull between Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder regarding the tone of the movie. The issues might have been manageable, but then Snyder lost his daughter and tried to throw himself into his work. By that time, Joss Whedon was more involved, and the whole thing was becoming increasingly unworkable, resulting in Snyder's exit. At the time, Zack Snyder leaving Justice League, the word fired was never bandied about. In fact, one thing that definitely would not be accurate would be the presumption he was outright fired. But it does seem as if he was being
strongly urged.
Yeah, yeah. Now the question is, I mean, on the one end,
Zach, go get us some ice cream.
Look, on the one end,
off the lot.
Yeah. and he goes back, and it's like the guard. The guard's like, "Is your name on the list?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm Zack Snyder."
Your name's not on the list.
No,
come on, this ice cream's melting.
I mean, in a way, it could have been for his own good. I mean, maybe he loses his daughter. And he's not, and obviously not right, and so
the Soulless studio cares really about him, so they're gonna fire him.
No, they care about the movie.
Yeah, that's
they care about the movie, but at the same time, it's
reality.
It could be in a way doing him a favor to relieve him of that.
It probably, you know what, him leaving that movie is probably the biggest favor they could have done him. You know.
Well, now everyone's coming back saying we want to see Zack Snyder's cut.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Die-hard fans are petitioning.
We have one of our videos talking about this on YouTube, and there are just numerous comments of people being like, "You have to see the director's cut. The director, what he had planned. The director's cut of Batman vs Superman was so great. What he had planned for this. There's a Kevin Smith video right now
Who said that the Batman versus Superman was?
People who comment on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire. No, people are actually really talking about how Kevin Smith even has a video saying, "Oh, they were going to show Darkseid, and originally Steppenwolf was going to be killed by Darkseid, and he was going to try to get Superman to join him, and then Superman was going to get a vision of Darkseid, and it was all going to connect."
But they're not even going to release the Zack Snyder.
No. Well, there's an online petition to do so.
Yeah, those online petitions.
It's amazing, right?
Those really go far.
It's amazing, the revisionists.
Those have changed the landscape of Hollywood cinema.
Yeah, there's a petition for Star Wars Last Jedi, too.
Yes, I know.
No, there's a petition to take it off of the canon.
Yeah, take it out. Right, that ain't happening.
Which they're not going to do.
No.
All right. There's no petitions out for our next guest who comes up after the break. Our next guest is from Wizard World. He's going to talk about the big Sony Wizard World deal when we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Contemplating how to do this, you being on camera next week.
I'm going to go get some sun then.
Don't
read into it.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
That was,
class.
That was very racially
Have some
insensitive.
class. See, there it is.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
See, you ruined it. It was a subtle nod to it now, and you just kind of hit it over the head with a hammer.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. If you want to get in on all the inside talk, we go to our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/Secrets of the Sire. We actually just reinvented the entire game. This is now no longer a radio show. This is a live podcast.
Woo!
That's it. We're rebranding as we speak.
I have to leave then, because I'm the Lord of the radio.
That's it, you're out.
Not the Lord of the podcast.
You should be.
Morpheus is out.
Is there a Lord of the podcast?
No, because that sounds terrible.
What?
Lord of the podcast. No.
All right. We'll deal with that.
Oh, shit.
There's nothing wrong with that anecdote.
We're going to welcome Mr. Jerry Milani from Wizard World PR. Mr. Milani, how's it going, sir?
I am fabulous. How are you guys tonight?
We are doing, we're doing really
I love fabulous.
I think everyone's really good.
How many people are fabulous?
You guys sound like you're doing fabulous.
Yeah.
We are fabulous.
Last few
He
minutes,
obviously can't see the video.
No, he can't see us. 'Cause we're sweating like
Wait, he's not watching us on Facebook?
He might not be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. So there's big to do. You guys came out with a big press release, and I, for one, immediately just gravitated toward it. Sony, Wizard World merging together. Not merging together, but there was a big deal to kind of scout for new talent in Artist Alley. Give us the 50,000-foot view about this, and then I'm going to start really breaking it down so everyone kind of understands what's going on.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's a situation that's been brewing for a while. Some folks from Sony had come to a few of our shows last year and kind of got blown away by the level of talent. And it's not just the names you've heard, but it's the level of talent they see in our Artist Alley, that they see in our entertainment area, that they see in our programming panels, that they just see all throughout our shows, and kind of made a connection with us and said, hey, we've got, you guys are going, them saying to us, we were all over the country finding, independent comic artists and writers, finding independent folks who are doing things in different spaces at what we do at our show. People who've been to our show over the last couple of years know that it's a pop culture celebration. It's everything in the world of movies and music and art and science fiction and comics and everything else all rolled into one. And they saw it and they said, how can we kind of tap into what you guys have? And what they came to us with it. And for us, it makes so much sense to be connected with a brand like Sony Pictures that they want to develop the next big properties. Maybe they're right in front of their face, right at our shows. So we're really excited to be kind of working with them. And while all the details aren't really set yet on how it's going to happen, it's really going to be a great situation for Wizard World. But I think more importantly, it's going to be a great situation for attendees and guests, and mostly in the Artist Alley area, but not exclusively there.
So one Facebook commenter, when we talked about the story online, had it. What's the difference between them just walking through Artist Alley and talking to these guys? Like, what's the involvement that Wizard? Are you going to be, introducing them? Are you their guide? Like, how does this really work in terms of what can they do partnering with you that they couldn't just do, kind of on their own?
Yeah, it's a little bit of that and a little bit of the curation process of instead of them having to go and just walk through the aisles and go, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. They can have kind of the curation of the folks at Wizard World who kind of recognize that talent. Folks in our Artist Alley area who really know, or not just Artist Alley, but other areas. There might be programming. We use a lot of local talent for our programming. We get a lot of our ideas for the panels. We even have fans that do panels that come up with ideas that you never know what might turn into another property. But for us to be able to kind of guide them along and say, hey, here's something you should be looking at, or here's some folks you might want to meet with, and then having official meetings. They might be right at Wizard World. They might be something you set up afterwards. There's going to be a lot of kind of different arms and tentacles to it, and having it be an official partnership, that means it's going to work both ways also. So in addition to us kind of helping by presenting some of these folks and different ideas that are out there, we might be able to be the arm for Sony Pictures to help get the word out about projects and things that they're already working on or in development, and we can be a test zone for them, and then having it as an official partnership is going to mean a lot of great things for Wizard World also.
How does it work for the artists? I know you said nothing's really been officially done, but I mean, let's say you introduce the Sire to Sony Pictures, and they go, "This is great. This is the next superhero franchise. We want to do it." Well, no, I mean, actually, I do have a real serious point for this. Do I owe you money now? Do I owe you a piece of the property? Is Wizard now owning a piece of Sire, or is it Sony? I mean, what's? No,
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's going to be, again, because we haven't set. It's, like you said, it's a 50,000-foot view of this. There's no specifics of what that's going to be, and that's going to probably be different things for different properties. And again, they're not just looking for the next superhero movie. Mm-hmm. They're looking for the next project that fits what Sony Pictures does, and that's a multimedia world now. It's not just what's going to be the next great, I see an artist and he did this character and I want to make that a superhero movie. That's one of maybe 100 different possibilities of things that could happen through Sony Pictures. So the exact nature of how that relationship would work, we're not sure. All we know is that by having this partnership and having Sony be part of what we do, isn't it the same way and that Disney and Warner, or that DC and Warner's relationship is now? Maybe. I mean, we don't know, but we just know that we've never had this big a partner on this big a level. I'm 9 years with Wizard World, and the company's been doing shows for 20 years, mm-hmm. and there's never been anything quite as big as this, or with the potential of being as big as it can be.
When does it officially kick in? I mean, what are your rollout stages for this?
We're going to have folks in Cleveland in a couple weeks. Now, I don't know if that's going to mean that, obviously it's not going to be the full bore of what we may be doing, and I think our Philadelphia shows and our Chicago shows, because they're just bigger in volume, are going to probably have a bigger presence, but we're starting right away with having some folks involved in whatever way it's going to start. And the good thing is a lot of our artists and other folks who are involved with our show come to a lot of the events. Mm-hmm. So there might be someone it might just be that they're only in Oklahoma City or they're only in Columbus, but more likely a lot of these artists and other folks are in different cities. So we hope that Cleveland can be the start for them, and there's no need to rush in and do 12 deals at once. It's sure. going to be something that over time, as things are found by them and as we identify things that are going to make sense, it'll be a process where we really think that the independent folks who work with us, whether it's one show or 15 shows, are going to really be the real beneficiaries.
So speaking about the independent folks, that's been a big contention online too, and over the last few years, is that the Wizard World brand kind of went away from comics, and you're trying to kind of get back into that world. What are you guys doing to really appeal to the artist? I mean, obviously this is a big, dot on the I, crossing the T to get more, comic book artists back in. But I know you guys have been doing a lot of different things to attract more of the comic book talent back to the shows.
Yeah. I feel like it never really went away. I mean, the show is still called Comic-Con. We've still had an Artist Alley. We've had a couple different folks who have been kind of running that, and they've each had kind of different thoughts and different ideas within our constraints of of budgets, et cetera, of what it can be. And I think right now what you're seeing is you're still going to have the Phil Ortiz and the Clinton Hobart and the Tom Cook and that are connected to bigger projects and connected to bigger things. But you're also going to see, I think, a little more where you'll see guys who have done and gals who have done their own brands and their own ideas. And you still have that. I still feel like at every show we have that combination of the names that are connected with bigger brands and the folks with things that the first time you ever will have seen them will be at Wizard World.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I don't know that we're necessarily like coming back to comics as much as just enhancing an area of our show that we think has always been there, and the show is called Comic-Con. It's in the title. We're not having a show without comics.
And finally, how do these independent creators kind of get involved? I mean, is there like a wait list now? Is there a point of contact that they should go to and be like, hey, I'm interested in this kind of stuff? Like, how is it? How do they get involved in this new deal?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we have our Artist Alley coordinator who works with us, and Victor Dandridge. I know you
that
guys
guy.
He's the greatest.
No, he is.
And
he's cool.
Victor's a guy, and he comes from that world. So if there's someone who's going to be involved on this level, there can't be anybody better than Victor Dandridge to be the guy who is representing or really pushing for independent comics. There's his whole existence in the comics world is based on his having created independent comics on his own when when everyone told him he couldn't, he did it, and look where he is now. So for that guy to be the advocate for this is really, I think, shows that that's the right direction for this. And there's a lot of people in Wizard World who are going to be involved with this at the high levels, but folks who come to our shows as artists on the Artist Alley side. And like I said, it's not just going to be the Artist Alley that they're looking at. They may come and see something that's part of our programming, that's a panel that's made up of some folks who aren't necessarily on Artist Alley table, but it might be an interesting panel that spurs an idea, or it might be something at our entertainment stage. It might be Cato Kalin, who runs our entertainment stage. He might get a deal out of this. Who knows? It's so wide open. And I think that what's great about the deal, and what I'm more excited about than anything, is that there aren't deep parameters set yet. It's not like someone's going to look at this now and go, oh, they're only looking for people who create superheroes, so that's not me. Or they're only looking for people who do panels and looking for a program. That's not me. It potentially could be for anyone who's involved on that level at our show.
Well, I got to tell you, it caught my attention as soon as I saw it, and it definitely kind of perked my I'm
interest.
I'm a frequent Artist Alley guest. I was at Wizard World Chicago last year, Wizard World Philly I do every year too. So I was kind of like gave it some juice. So
yeah.
So Jerry, we got about a minute to go. Just give the audience the next slot of dates where they can participate in Wizard World shows.
Yeah, we're going to be in Cleveland as our next show, and that's been a fabulous show for us the first 3 years. March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and we go to Portland, which is our second tier of length of running shows. I think it's our 8th year in Portland, April 13, 14, 15, and then one of the biggies comes a little early this year. May 17, 18, 19, 20 is Philadelphia.
Nice.
Philadelphia and Chicago are our two longest running shows. We're, I think, 17 or 18 years into Philly now, and this year's going to be our 21st Chicago show. Last year was our 20th. So those are all coming up.
Hassan and I were there for the inaugural.
Yeah, the first one.
Wizard World Philly. We were actually helped putting it together.
Several
behind the
that.
scenes.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. Jerry, as always, thank you so much. You're a gentleman, a scholar, and Victor Dandridge's #1 supporter.
Who's right there in the room.
Who's right there in the room. No, we do. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to learning more about this.
Great to see you guys, to talk to you guys, and hope to see you soon.
Bye, Jerry.
When we come back, we go spinning the racks.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant. And on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth from Nourish the Soul, and on this show, you will uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to having a healthy relationship to food and your body. Join us every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
I was actually going to ask him for some acting advice because I was in a commercial this week.
Yes, you were. What would you have asked him?
How he can help me further my career. You know.
It's a little nebulous.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. It's completely self-congratulatory. There's nothing else about it. I was awesome.
He would have been like,
can't sleep.
Get more jobs.
Yeah.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc, streaming live, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. And you can download our podcast on iTunes, iHeart, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher, Podcast FM. We're everywhere. Yeah, we're everywhere.
That's a lot of stuff.
We're
It's
everywhere.
overwhelming.
I want to thank our guest, Jerry Milani, coming on, talking about the Wizard World Sony deal. Really kind of, look, it's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
Getting me a little more excited. I'll be at Philly anyway, and it's like, well, now I gotta dress up. I gotta put, I gotta shower. Damn it.
Wear a bow tie.
Wear a bow tie.
Your roommate will thank you.
I also want to thank our in-studio guest, Miss Bevin from Adultish. Give our audience what Adultish is,
AKA
and
elbow
what the
blades.
podcast.
Hassan can't handle it.
Blossoming.
Can't handle it.
Blossoming before our
So
eyes.
Adultish is a web series right now currently on footprint.tv. It is a web series about millennial nerds living in New York. One is a blogger, one is a podcaster, one is a cafe/bar owner in Williamsburg, so he's very hippie. But they're all nerdy. They all love Batman. They're all trying to hold on to their nostalgia while unfortunately trying to do adult things as well, which is, to have a full-time job or, live by themselves and being able to afford that. Maybe even have like a 401k, if something like that.
What?
But failing at it miserably. Right now, we actually also have an Adultish podcast with Ming Chen of Comic Book Men. We record weekly in Red Bank, New Jersey, at their own podcast studio. You can find us on Google Play and iTunes. We're also working on getting on Spotify as well. And
Very cool.
also, if you follow us on Facebook Live, I talk to you. Bevin right here talks to you because the boys are the ones doing most of the talking. And I'm secretly just bonding with everyone online and having my own conversation. So it's a lot of fun.
Is that by choice?
Oh, it is by choice because I'd rather talk to them than the guys. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
I love them. I love them dearly. But they are.
Walk that back.
I know. No. They also in the show also play podcasters, so they are the ones doing the actual podcasting, whereas I am the one blogging on the show. We're about to actually go live in Korea on a new OTT platform as well. And then working on season 4.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we have a running tally of in-studio guests. So this is your second appearance. Pat Shand is the winner, I think, right now.
Winning.
Jeff Gomez has 3 under his belt.
Yes.
So it's like the SNL, hosts and things like that.
So when I get 5, I get a robe.
Yo.
Yeah, we'll get you a robe.
We really got to come up with something.
We gotta break into someo's bathroom and steal a robe. We got this robe. It's
robe
exclusive.
for time.
It's an exclusive robe.
So I teased online actually before the show. We got two big announcements. I'll drop one right now, and then we're going to go into spinning the racks. The first is we're going to actually have one of the stuntmen from Black Panther on next week, and it's going to be very exciting. So we're gonna advertise the heck out of that. So tune in next week for that.
Yeah. Hopefully the movie doesn't suck, so we'll spend the entire week talking about the entire episode talking about how bad the movie was, and then have him on.
So your scene was really good.
Yeah.
Where you jumped through that flaming building.
That one scene with you when you fell out of the helicopter, that was amazing.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie, no.
Actually, we won't be able to because it's Black Panther, and only you will be able to say anything bad.
Yeah, I can do anything I want. Because I'm woke.
This is a Sunday. All right, we go spinning the racks, talking about the most fantastical comic pop culture news out there.
Is that Hassan?
Nope.
Yes.
No,
yeah.
it's not.
No. Someone doesn't listen to our show. No, it's okay. That's one of those little Easter eggs for all of our fans. Yes, that is Hassan. This
is not Hassan.
A little bit of Walking Dead news for everybody out there. The Walking Dead outsold every single Marvel comic book in January. Marvel and DC Comics like to think of themselves as the big two. This is from comicbook.com. When it comes to comic book market, but the Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman is throwing down the gauntlet and letting it be known his comic book series is actually king.
Aren't those Marvel comics on the wane anyway, though?
Yeah. Do you know why? You know what they're blaming?
Yeah, I know what they're blaming. We don't have to talk about that.
Wait, I want to know who they're blaming.
Because I disagree with that particularly, and I've seen other statistics that also dispute that.
Statistics are funny, right?
Yeah, because they can work.
You can work either way.
They work either way. Because I've seen people pop statistics up to argue for it and against it. So who knows? Who's to know?
I mean, essentially. But
so what is it?
We don't need to talk about it.
It depends on how you phrase it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, careful.
The diversity movement is being blamed.
Okay.
For the lack of sales in Marvel Comics. It also was blamed, for Axel Alonso, who was the editor-in-chief, getting fired because he was the big proponent behind it. And look,
but they haven't stopped. They haven't canceled all those.
No, they haven't. But ironically, they did cancel the Black Panther comic book series a few months ago, which makes
they
it very...
should probably resign.
They're gonna come out with some tandem. I mean, if you actually check out 2 episodes ago,
issues.
We had 2 episodes of Secrets of the Sire.
Issues.
We call them issues?
Yeah.
We're calling our show issues now?
We had the 2 of us have issues, so it's a list of our issues.
No, I didn't know that.
These shows.
I didn't realize that.
No, I just made that up.
All right, cool. But if you check out our podcast from 2 episodes ago with Newsarama's Chris Arant, and he kind of talked about the fact that there are some good Black Panther tie-ins that they are releasing, but it's all reprinted stuff that the actual
Marvel's decision making is not. It's not easy to pin down. Let's just put it that way.
For a company that's very synergistic most of the time, sometimes they are not.
Yes.
And in these cases, I would say that falls into the not category, right?
Right.
In other news as well, if you were to go back to that same podcast, Chris Arant from Newsarama, got to give him his props here. He said, "Don't count your chickens yet. The Marvel Fox the Marvel Fox deal, the Disney Fox deal, not quite there yet." So this was actually...
May not happen.
It was brought in, I caught it on LinkedIn.
May not happen.
Comcast is actually coming back into the picture because of potential antitrust lawsuits. Disney took the lower bid. Fox took the lower bid to merge with Disney. Comcast actually had a higher bid in place, and so the government is actually meddling. And Chris Arant actually said, he said, don't start dreaming about the Wolverine Spider-Man team-ups just yet. There are monopolies that the government makes sure does not exist. And Hassan, I think you hit the nail on the head. That would be a significant monopoly, wouldn't it?
Because they would have pretty much 3/4 of the comic book industry, the cinematic universes.
Yeah.
Because there would only be DC, and DC is not holding its own right now.
Nope.
Comic book wise, they're actually selling better.
Yes,
but movie wise, you're 100%
we're just talking about movies.
Right. Yeah. I know. It's crazy, right? So, I mean, what I get it. Like, I get it from a. but don't take our merger away. Like this was.
Don't take our merger away. What were we gonna get from the merger?
We were gonna get a real good Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Nah.
Brought in. We were gonna get two things with the X-Men. We were gonna get X-Men Marvel movies, and we were gonna get the comic books returning to the forefront.
Nah.
We were
not necessarily.
Most likely.
I mean,
well, we might still get all those things.
I mean, the people were hoping that the merger would also bring back Hugh Jackman for one more film because he said he would come back.
We broke that news. Yeah, we broke that news.
Yeah.
You listened to the show.
I did.
And she's like, why don't you just let me get a word out so that I could actually talk about it?
She said she likes being in the background, talking to all the people online.
Well, yeah, at my podcast. You guys.
Okay. Don't include me.
Floor's yours.
Innocent.
No, is the floor mine, really? Yeah. You sure? Can't help yourself.
You can't take it with you. Don't take this floor with you. It's really essential to this office.
There's some tea stains on it too for previous shows.
All I'm saying is that Hugh Jackman has been quoted saying that, like, oh, well, I mean, if I get a Hulk Wolverine kind of mashup, I might come back.
They'd have to do that.
They would have to
They'd have to. Even though they killed the hell out of him.
I know.
Excuse the language.
Yeah, but
that was an alternate timeline.
Oh, yeah.
Anything can happen. This is comic book.
That would be so weak to bring him back after that. They'd have to go back in time.
Yeah.
Well,
then they could show Hugh Jackman in another story, and then they could do that.
Yeah,
that would. And everybody would be like, "Yeah,"
because Fox is so big on continuity.
Yeah, but it's not Fox anymore; it's Marvel now.
I know, but they're gonna ditch. They're gonna ditch that continuity like ASAP.
Oh yeah, throw it all out. Throw
and
everything
listen,
but
it's
Hugh
not
Jackman
like Hugh Jackman's got a lot going on for him. The Greatest Showman was not the greatest thing I've ever seen.
No. All right, we had a tremendous show. Again, I want to thank Jerry Milani for doing it right, talking about Sony Wizard World. I want to thank Bevin for being in studio as well.
Thank you for having
me. I promised you two announcements. Next week, we give you our review of Black Panther and welcome stuntman from the movie Ricky Barksdale Jr. to tell us all about it, give us some inside dirt on the movie. And in 2 weeks, we got Jackie, the joke man, Martling from the Howard Stern Show is going to be in studio. We're going to talk to him about his career and his pop culture. He's going to be in studio. Sam is befuddled. Major announcements dropping every week. See you next week, guys.
Thanks, guys.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.